Come and get started on a new mission, a new direction, a new intention. Welcome to 5.8G Alive at Connections 50 Plus. I am Terry-Ann Joseph Brathwaite.
And I am Jennifer Gibbons Joseph, catering to all your prospects in the third act of life.
Economic well-being, social gratification, personal fulfillment.
Join us on Wednesday at 6 p.m. on Connections 50 Plus Facebook page, YouTube channel,
and on Gael the Caribbean. Good evening. Welcome to 5.8G Alive, brought to you by Connections 50 Plus. I am Terry-Ann Joseph Brathwaite, one of the co-creators of Connections 50 Plus, and with me as usual.
Hi everyone, good evening and welcome. I am Jennifer Gibbons Joseph, the other co-creator of Connections 50 Plus.
Jennifer, the rains have come. How have you been?
I have been good, but I just wondered how prepared some of us, let me put it this way, are not casting soon, those who we say, yes, we're preparing spiritually, but are we prepared in terms of our life? You know, how we live our life, not in the spiritual realm, but I'm talking about life, living, you know, going through the life journey, at home, you know, that sort of preparation.
We had some interesting feedback on last week. It seemed as though our discussion on living joyfully animated everyone. We had one bit of feedback from a gentleman. This person has a medical challenge, and in spite of that challenge, still continued to live. Go out on expeditions, go to parties, do the things that he loved to do. What is nice, we decided this week, we're going to have a discussion about living with joy.
Terry-Ann, as I say, we're doing, I'm not saying rule book, but we all in transition. This is our stage. So we're talking about we transitioning. And we thought it would be nice to use that term, transition pathway. We felt it's really, really appropriate for us, what we are chatting about. And the transition pathway that we just discussed, you know, and you pull from it and see what is applicable to you to be on that joyful journey, you know. And Terry-Ann, the one, let me say number one, I mean, it may not go in the exact order, but I'm just using this. First one was denial. And that denial, Terry-Ann, leads me to what you just said about that feedback you got with that person who had the challenge and didn't broadcast it, but looked at the positive side and attended the function and had a good time. Now, he could have been in denial, saying that, you know what, I have this thing, and because of it, I can't do nothing. You could, you know, and go down the negative side of it, saying, okay, because of that challenge, I need to stay home because other people will watch me, because he might open his big mouth and talking to somebody and say, you know, I have this situation. I'll say, oh, and you still come out, boy? Hey, that is us Trinis. So, no, we could go into that type of denial. We have, of course, other aspects of denial, but I'm using that because you just mentioned and how we can turn that, what we see as a big challenge that could keep us down, into a very positive, and it's all from us, the message we send to our friends. Because if we complain, you know, and we make them feel you can drop down anytime or you can't do anything, that is the sort of discussion you would have. Yeah. If you make it into a positive, definitely you will get the support. You might say, oh, I'll pick you up. That's okay. I understand. because I know what's happening. I will make sure there for you to help you if you have to do X, Y, and Z. Yeah. So that first one, denial, is real.
Yeah. You know, and sometimes it is one thing to have a situation where you need help. So if you are physically unable to go somewhere, or if the stress of a diagnosis makes you so paralyzed, you need that moral
support. You can't do it here.
Or sometimes you look your family, but sometimes you don't need support. But again, you come back into this pity party, and sometimes you just sit into feeling sorry for yourself, and you become unlikable to others. Other people just don't want to be around you because you have become your problem. You've lost your sense of yourself and your personality, and you are now this condition that you have, which, by the way, is being properly managed by medical practitioners. You're healthy, you're going along, you're not dropping, you're continuing living, but you have a management regime to deal with. But you make yourself disappear, and you bring forth your issue to be your life. And I think that is something that would make you not very likable. And sometimes it's not only illness. In fact, very seldom is it illness. Most of the time, it is some problem you have. The husband, the wife, the child, the economic situation, all the things that are happening to everybody in some way or the other, but people are making decisions about how to manage it, and they're going along. And Jennifer, there's one other piece of denial that I think that is very, very dangerous, and many of us have it. We know something is wrong, and we become paralyzed in denial and fear, and we do nothing about it. We do nothing about it. So we hide the symptoms. We know we get in the headaches or the stomach aches, so we know that we bringing up all kinds of things from our insides or through all orifices, and we keep quiet and we say nothing, leaving our families and loved ones to deal with some explosion at the end when everything is too late to do anything about it. So while you have, on the one hand, you have the person who is managing their situation and living happily, you have those who decide to suppress it, be quiet, suffer alone and in silence, and then have to have their family in a whole chaotic situation when all that you've been hiding and suppressing explodes. It
comes out. And you know, Terry-Ann, during that period, when you, as you say, you hiding and suppressing, you're allowing yourself to feel more sick, you know, you're depressed, you're going into a form of depression because you don't want to talk to anybody. I remember being related a story from a friend of mine, and she was saying a friend she found was losing a lot of weight, and sometimes she invited her out. She said, I don't want to go, you know, and it reached a stage where she said, well, she said, well, you know, I don't want anybody to ask me how I'm losing so much weight and all that. And she said, well, why not go to find out what caused? She said, no, I don't really want to know, you know, because next thing you know, I can't do this or I can't afford this. That just do not want to face the truth. And we know anything you have, if you go in the early stages, there's such but 90% chance of you being treated for whatever it is. Yeah. So that denial, as you said, is again, and I'm sure many of you all, our listeners there, know of people who like that, because when you hear, oh, this one dropped down or was taken into the hospital for emergency, or that, you'll say, oh, I didn't know she had this. I didn't know he had that. Or at the end of the day, the family may say, I noticed a certain thing, you know, I really noticed that, but I didn't want to say anything, you know? So that denial is critical to us living that happy life, because if we know and we face the reality of it, and we decide to manage it in a way to continue living this happy life. I mean, we understand certain situations where you may not be able to do certain things. But I'm saying, if you put a positive spin on it, you're going to be leading a much better and happier life. Yeah.
And sometimes it's not a positive spin. Sometimes it's just being realistic.
A realistic spin. Well, my realistic spin is a positive one.
No,
you turn the negative into a positive. Yeah, but I hear you.
Sometimes you can't. And sometimes just saying to people, make it positive, doesn't help, because it can't be positive. Because, all right, let's not take sickness. Let's take the issue that I think most of us face. Bad behaved children or children who are going to be dependent on us for a very, 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 very long time, probably to our graves. And we don't take action. We don't put our foot down and set boundaries. We see it coming. We see it rolling. We see the irresponsible use of resources. We see
not my child, not my son, not my daughter.
And you go with it, not my son, and then when you're home, totally, you're grumbling at home, and you're continuing to give the resources to continue to feed and support the bad habits, to continue to prop up a lifestyle that they can't afford. I think that kind of denial is more prevalent than denial of illness. And it is the thing that really, really comes home to you when you are now not in a position to do anything about it, because you're probably hitting your 80s, your 90s. They have used up all your resources, and you are looking now at them, and they're looking at you. And you know that when you close your eyes, well, they're probably following you close by, because, and that creates a different level of stress, you know?
Yeah, and that is, you know, I say shame and fear leads to that sort of denial, you know? You're just ashamed, or you're fearful of, if you don't do this, or if you reveal the truth, you can't deal with that the results of it.
And Jennifer, what are the results? What are the results that we are so...
Well, I think someone who may be in denial in a situation, what you just referred to, where we're saying, oh gosh, I try my best, and it's okay, they will come around. This is the Trini saying.
They're not coming around in the late 40s and 50s.
Somewhere deep down, you know, from all experiences, because we're talking about, as they say, big hardback men and women, right? That our children living in the house. And we just don't want to believe that this is our product. this is how it turn out. But if we too hard, taking the hard line, you know,
that hard line, the reality.
No, well, for some people, being realistic is a hard line, because it means you're telling that person that, listen, I can't deal with that again, you know. I finish. I have to deal with me on my happiness. And for me to be happy, you either go, you leave my house, you find some job, or I set some boundaries for you. But that solution, because it's a negative situation you're in, that solution, you would think, would always have a negative. It comes with pain. You can lose your loved one. When I say lose, meaning that they may walk out the horn, they may say, oh God, when they go out there, they'll make out, you know? So in your mind, the reason you're in denial, because you don't want to face what you may think will be the negative fallout of that relationship. So you're not talking about it. You're not telling them anything to make it worse. And you suffer inside, and as you say, you extend yourself until you can't extend yourself anymore. And you drop down with that.
Like that. You know, I really do.
That's how I see it, yeah?
I really do ask myself, what is this negative we're so afraid of? And I think
the negative is losing that relationship, losing the loved one, losing that that control also.
Is it always losing the loved one, or, and I am talking of cases where we don't want to change. Remember last week we talked about you setting the goal when you were 20 or 30, and here you are 40, 50 years later, 60, 70, 80, holding on to the same goal, even though you have all of those years of experience that have confirmed to you that the goal will not be achieved, but you're still holding on to the goal. So many of us have built homes. Okay, I live in a house that I know my children can afford to maintain because they don't have the career path that me and my husband had, and a middle class home is an expensive thing to maintain. So given the job market now, they have a few years. So I sit and I say, if both of us drop down now, how they keeping up this house? You leave the house for them, you leave it for them, you leave the car for them, you leave, but we've created assets that most likely our children are not going to be able to continue to maintain. Are off of the bad behaved children. I'm not on the bad behaved children. That's a different story. I asked myself, what on earth is it that you are avoiding? Why don't you intervene and change your goal? Why don't you intervene? This is also a form of denial. And here, I think it is less of what's going on with the child or your situation, and it is more our ego and our pride and our own sense of ourselves and the how it gonna look phenomena. So,
Karen, if I bring it home, my personal situation, being in denial, I would say the reason why if a certain situation comes up and you're referring to your children, which most of us, the loved ones, we don't want to believe, we don't want to admit that they're not doing the things that, as we say, we brought them up in a certain way, and how they turn out like that. You know, that sort of saying. And if I look at it within, the times that I felt I may have been leading into that denial stage is because of my emotions, because facing that whatever the situation would have been, make me feel like I am a failure, like I failed as a mother, failed as a parent.
Yep.
Because if I had done X, Y, and Z.
If you had done better.
Better in whatever we term better for us, our goal of better, they would not have made the decisions that they made, right? So your feeling is a sort of really heavy emotional, that pull, that pain. And so because that I am feeling it without even saying anything, without even voicing, letting that loved one know, because I feel, but you are the fault, you are at fault. So what you have to say? And then the other thing would be, you say, and if they turn around and tell you it's because of you and your decision, that's why I'm like this, or that's why I made that decision. It's not a good feeling. It's a painful feeling. So you know, we say you hold back, you sort of submerge that, and you leave it alone, and you're not talking about it at all, but you're watching the situation and in pain, and the only time you'll be forced to make a decision is if it explodes.
And Jennifer,
you know, it reached that stage of explode, and then you have no choice but to deal with it. And making a decision when you're in that mindset, it's chaotic.
And Jennifer, there's another side to it that we deal with, and I get back for it a lot even now, because we are in denial about what we think about our children, whether it's good or bad, and it's always generated by this goal that you had from way before. And when you look back objectively, the decisions that you made that took you away from the goal, or you realize things about your child, well, the goal was really too ambitious, but you still didn't change the goal, you still live in hope. But on the other side, a lot of us put pressure on us when it comes to dealing with our parents. You know,
that too. Yeah.
We are the sandwich. And you cannot bear the burden of taking parents who can no longer live independently on. You don't have the physical, financial, emotional, mental bandwidth to do it. But a lot of us, and only because of how it will look, and because you put a price on what they have done for me, and I am not being, we make decisions that we know we cannot support. And some of us put ourselves at risk of financial ruin, physical health. We put our physical health, our stress at serious risk by taking on responsibilities without help. Without help. Whether that help is something external, an external facility, or help coming into the house, and you pretend to be Atlas or Sisyphus, and you say, I'm going. And all of this wrecks your pressure, your diabetes, your social life.
Because Tarian, you're just full of guilt. It's really a guilt.
Guilt. And what crime did you commit? You committed no crime.
Well,
except that
we go back, and this is something we are discussing, all this roll one into the other, where the social pressures, actually, let me give you this quick story. We kind of attended a function, and person next to me, I didn't know, but I'm a talker. I introduced myself, and I just chat, thinking, and then let them be comfortable. And somewhere along the line, and that happens to me a lot. I don't know if because I open up a conversation, whoever is there close to me always feel they have to confide in some way. And she was relating to me, she's home, taking care of her mom, and a story, which is quite similar and I'm familiar with. And I decided to ask, I said, so how is your mom now? She said, girl, let me tell you, I had to put her in a home, I didn't want to, but so I said, no, I don't need all the reasons. I understand. I said, look, we do a show. And I said, we discussed something like that. I said, I understand because it's not the norm, but sometimes you have to make a decision. And she said, I wasn't going to, but my children who lives away told her she has no choice because they're not coming back to help. They could send money financially. So if she dropped down, they still putting the grandmother in a home. So she better decide. But she's telling me that, and she decided that. But she's happy to let me know, and I understand it. It is the children who made her do it. Other than that, Other than that, she would have stayed in denial, exactly what you're talking about. And it's real. And let me tell you, Terry, and you're aware of it too. It's happening more and more and more to us now because our age group, we are dealing with the elderly parents, and we ourselves have our, we have to face reality. But many of us, I think, Terry, and I would say as much as 75% of our tribe in denial when it comes to that type of decision.
And yep. I will quote a statistic. Our colleague Jennifer Rouse usually comes on the program and talks about what is on the statistics of demographics. And recently there was a workshop, a Zoom conference, where they were looking at the situation of aging in the Caribbean in a specific instance. And the fact is, by the year 2030, which kind children out there is 6 years from now? It is 6 years from now. All right? By the year 2030, there are going to be more 60 plus people in most of the Caribbean islands, including Trinidad and Tobago, than there are people under 10. There will be more of us than young people.
And we could understand that.
So it means that it will be the first time in history that you will not have enough young people to take care of the older people in the way that our parents took care of their parents, and they probably expect us to take care of them, or their grandchildren to support us in taking care of them. So the reality is that if we keep piling pressure about taking care of our adult children, because we have to continue to support them financially, and taking care of our aging parents while we ourselves are aging, and we don't sit down and draw a line, like your friend was very fortunate that she had children who put down the foot and made the decision for her. So the guilt came off of her. But most of us may not have someone to take the guilt from them. And this is not guilt, this is practicality. Because if you drop down, the children in a mess, parents in a mess, and there's a bigger mess overall, all because you are denying. And to me, guilt that is not associated with anything that you did wrong is a form of denial, because you just feel how it gonna look. Who charge you with anything? We just go into this state of denial about our reality, the financial reality, the emotional reality, the reality about our status with companions and friends and children. And we hold on to old goals, and we make up stories. And all the while, we're not living, because we just covering up and papering up and pretending. And all of that is getting us sick or making conditions that we have worse. And it is really taking away all of our joy. So I think this denial thing is serious, and it is something that we have to pay attention to. We have to.
Terry-Ann, I agree. Denial is a critical aspect of this pathway in our transition. Because if we don't face the truth, then we stop. We remain stuck. And finding that happy part going to be difficult. The second aspect we spoke about really is resistance. And that tying in a lot with the denial, because we're resisting.
Even
we don't want to make that change.
Even when the information comes to us, it's one thing to deny when you're in yourself denying, but when the truth is presented to you and you're still saying, that's resistance.
We resist any change. Resist change. And a lot of situation happening, because many of us, you're no longer in the workplace, or even those in the workplace, you're checking down the years. You may just have about 10 more years or less than 10 years to go. So, but you know that, we are aware of that. We are aware, and it said that your different stages. I always talk about the difference when I was 50 to 60, and now I'm 70. It's a different stage. And if we don't understand that and understand our situation, because the situation changes up, because the son or daughter who's married and out the house, and you say, praise God, and you're happy, and you're telling people, their son got married and they're happy, living happy ever after. Suddenly, within a very short time, something went wrong with the happy ever after, and they're back home in your house. You understand? Which you didn't plan for. But you have to look at, if that happened, what would be your decision? Because remember, it shows off your plans. So they're happy with with an empty, what you call it, an emptiness. You get used to your emptiness. You and your partner, you alone, whatever. But you're happy with your emptiness, you're happy with that, and you're happy with your freedom. And then an adult who is out of the house for some years comes back in with all the different habits, all the different habits, and expect you as a parent to continue parenting suddenly in terms of providing the meals, cleaning up after, and all these things. And, some of us, again, and we're talking about resistance. It happened, it already happened. But instead of us, discussing it and having that discussion to say, listen, these are my boundaries, now we come back. Hey, this is what we have to do. But again, to me, that kind of what I would say, the resistance there is that you're resisting that change. You're resisting the fact that you have to make some changes, which are critical changes, to keep your peace or to keep your happiness. I'm just using that because that's the example that jumped me, because I know it is happening so often now, where you want to know what is happening. You just leave the house, you're coming back already, So the resistance of change, that's how I look when I heard the resistance.
And I think too, when I think of situations, and as you say, it wraps into denial. You've settled into a comfortable mode of living, so it's not in the denial that something is wrong, but you're settled into a comfortable life. The children gone, you settle into your empty nesting, you're going along your pattern, and then as you say, what up, something happens. Adult children come back into the home with grandchildren. A parent gets very, very ill and needs to come back by you or needs care. There is divorce, there is death of a spouse, there is a sibling who may have been away, and now you have to, and while you look, this is not denial, because the reality of what exists is facing you.
It's facing you, it has happened.
You are refusing to make any changes to accommodate this because it is a massive inconvenience to you. And I'll be honest, my view on life is I am a resistor. I am a resistor because I have a point of view of life. Listen, I travel this road and those external things not coming to upset my life. And I take stress onto myself because I resist bending and accommodating if I don't have the resources to put a fix somewhere far away from me. And this is something that also really, really causes us a lot of stress and prevents us from having joy, because especially when the thing comes into your physical space, your home, which has adapted to you in your nice third act. You finish work, you're happy. You have the whole space, you don't allocate use for the second bedroom and the third bedroom. You fix the garden and the yard to suit yourself. Then all of a sudden, you have your cushions arranged how you want it in the TV room. Then all of a sudden, somebody coming in and they put in plate in the wrong place and they're not fixing back the cushion. And the children running up and down and making noise, and you like the house quiet at a certain time when you hear a sort of talk or sort of music or sort of what, and you're sitting down and
this, and that for me too, as I said, we're dealing with what is actually happening now. This is real. The other, in terms of resistance, I'm thinking of, and I like to look at, what's happening in my life, that when I think of resistance, sometimes we resist making change in terms that could affect our health, meaning that we may be told we have to do these things, right? Whether it's exercise, whether it's taking a certain type of medication, whether is going for therapy, but you know, they have different things. And we are saying, feel at this age that we know what we're doing. All right, we know what we're doing. So we may resist taking the advice, let me put it that way, of a professional that tells us and who knows and who we have studied and tells us this is what we have to do. And I could be using health for this because we really very conscious now. We want to remain healthy. But yes, still, we may find it's too much trouble to take that walk on an afternoon. It's too much trouble to watch that if you go out and to resist, you know, drinking and different things like that. And that also I see that is something we have to be conscious of. And using that term resistance for this transition, we need to really ask ourselves, hey, what are we really resisting that could make our life better, make us enjoy life better, but we're resisting because of our old habits, because we don't want to change the old habits. So we're resisting trying something, as we say, something new, the modern technology. You know, we didn't want anything like that. So that's how also I would describe the resistance.
You know, and to be sure, denial is when you prevent yourself from knowing. So you're not exploring, you're not trying to find out anything. You know something wrong, but you're not going in there, you're not moving your hands. So you really are unaware, but you know you should be looking to find out. Resistance is right there. You see it?
You know, they tell you, you're being told.
You're not there. You know, and in many instances, like you've given the example for health, but you have the cases of, again, family arrangements. So adults come back into the home, parents come into the home, the whole dynamic, the economics of the home have to change. But you are there because of guilt, because your children putting pressure on you and giving you a sad story, and you triple and quadruple your family budget, but you're not taking contributions from anybody because, oh gosh, you not continuing your hobbies and so on because they run like house guests, not like residents or roommates. And you take on responsibility for child rearing or parent sitting or whatever it is, and you reduce your standard of living. And this is not because they are unable to contribute. I'm not talking about when they cannot contribute, but you, because again, your name hero, Atlas or Sisyphus, and you just feel that you are this perfect one, you're under pressure, or most likely you say something like, but they can't see how we're under pressure, why they don't help? You didn't ask. You did not ask or make it known that the situation is now different. And if you are back, you're not a guest, you have to contribute. Even if it's the senior, they would have their pension. The pension can contribute to the groceries or housekeeping support or whatever it is. Children coming back into the home have less expenses than if they lived on their own. So what are you doing? And you know, these situations where we see things have to change, but we just
resistant. And the flip side to that, to Terry, is where we ourselves have to move out again because of certain situations, and we have to either move in with our children. It is the opposite of it. We either move in with the children, move in with somebody else. Well, move in a home which I know in our minds is like a no-no. But again, we resist that. We reach this stage where we know living alone may not be the best thing for many reasons. Could be financial.
It's unsafe.
Could be the type of thing. Yeah, where you are now, you may have to move, change where you are. But listen to me, many I know situations where it's no way, don't care how the family members explain, listen, it may be better if you move out of that house, that area, that whatever. And where oh, we grew up here. All the friends are wrong, all the this are wrong, and this is the house I built since, and all the reasons. And we resist making that location because we feel this is where we grew up and this is where we want to die. You know these sayings that we have. Very stubborn as they say, you know?
Go ahead. Yeah. Very often we die. And the thing about resistance, in the face of evidence that you need to make changes, again, it is when it blows up. And when it blows up, usually you end up in a worse position. Even if it means sell a house, get out of a neighborhood when it is time. All right, you grew up there. That was 50 years ago. It's now a commercial place. There are no neighbors. There are no playparks. You know, you can't live by yourself. You're too frail. You can't scale down. Go to a smaller unit.
Yeah, the house too big now. Nobody in it. It is you alone.
Move, but you want to be the owner and living in this big place that is falling apart because you can't maintain it. You know, it's in front of you. So, but you know, there is good news, and denial and resistance are really very two very negative things that prevent us from living fully. And Jennifer, there are parts out of these two holes.
Of course, there's always a solution. It's just that we face, when you face the reality, there's a solution. And the third point was exploration, which is what you're talking about. Don't put on blinkers. It is in front of you. Even before you make that decision, you explore the options. And we covered a lot of situations that could be negative, but could turn into positive. And we covered it. So for instance, what we just spoke about, if you know it is happening, it's in front of your face, they're telling you, you're seeing it. All you need to do, because maybe you may not agree with the recommendations that was made. You may not agree to go and live by this one or do so. But explore what are the options. And there are always options, Terry. And there are always options. I may prefer, no, I don't want to go here. I prefer go and live somewhere else where I feel I'll be more comfortable. You look, of course, to see, can you afford it? You drill down, and we know the stages, but you go with an open mind. And I think that is where, in terms of the exploration, you have an open mind. You're listening. You don't have to do exactly what you're told like that or the advice given. But if you're not taking that advice, then look and see, hey, what are the alternatives? And don't care, Terry, and I believe that whatever the situation, because it varies, we're all in different situations and at different stages, examine that. And when I say different stages, and you mentioned it earlier, I'm in my 70s now. In his 70s, this is what you may look at. Don't go, you're not going and look at what Terry Ann doing or somebody else in the 50s. It may not be applicable to me at all. So they may be very happy doing what they're doing in that situation. The situation for me is different. I cannot use them or what they're doing as the guide. I have to create my own, and we say it all the time, my own stage. And this is what would make me happy. Even if it's a one room with flowers all around, I am good. You understand? So yes, for the exploration stage, Terry Ann, even when we talk about illness, and we know that. You explore, they have the different, the specialists doing this, that. Don't just decide the solution is you hear that taking this type of bush or herbs or whatever will heal you because it healed a friend who had it. You different, your whole body is different. Go to a consultant, go to people who they are the experts. Sometimes we don't like to use the experts because we don't want to pay. We feel it costs too much. So we will take advice from somebody who, because they know of somebody else in a situation and it worked. And that is where, that is not exploration, not at all. Go to the experts in the different areas.
I would say friends can be experts, but when a friend can't get down to give you a real reason why something works, and if the reason when they probe is because somebody tell them, and somebody who tell them, and
the person's situation was completely different.
Ask some questions, because sometimes when you don't want to move from where you are, whether it is denial or resistance, you go exploring where you will find the answer you want, huh?
Yes.
And we know what we're doing. And once somebody starts to give us information that we don't want, we shut it down. And anyone who says what we want, yeah, they are fine. But we really have to, and again, we are on uncharted grounds. Our generations never been here. We've not lived so long, and in our senior years have had the capacity to be still empowered to control our lives. A 70-year-old or an 80-year-old and some 60-year-olds, 50, 60, 70 years, were sitting down in a corner in a drawing room, totally dependent on children and grandchildren. We are not like that. And there aren't the children and grandchildren rushing to control our lives and take care of us. So we've got to be proactive. And we have got to. And then we have access to information. All we have to do is put the question in. Just put the question.
And that's it, Tarian. And that is where, let's go back. Some of us resist the technology. I mean,
that's denial.
You have the information. You can get the information. Where to go, what to do.
That's denial. And the thing about it is, and it's not only a digital exploration. Sometimes we need to face the thing that we are so sure is bad, that we are so sure is wrong, or we are so sure that we are not going to be happy there. Even if it means sitting down with that child that you think is a waste of time and saying, tell me what's going on. How is life for you? And listen. Listen without preaching. And Jennifer, we made a joke. Sometimes we want to control from the grave. We want to be so sure they're not going to be any good. We want to put things in place to control their actions beyond the grave.
Listen.
All the energy you're putting into that, sit down and talk to the person. Tell them.
Karen, I was listening to a show with the younger generation, not so young, what do you call that? When you just late 30s, early 40s, what generation that is? Whichever generation.
The younger first is either Gen
Z. Parents within our age group.
Gen Zs.
And one of the comments made by the panelists on that panel, he said, listen, my parents' generation, referring to us, right? Like to boss and control. All they know is giving orders and control. And I remember at some stage, one of my daughters, I don't know what I was saying, and said, gosh, mommy, all these days give orders. And I had to check myself. And this, let me tell you, this is serious with our generation. Huh? Mm-hmm. The control. And I was, when Terian mentioned controlling from the grave, because we had a situation, again, it come back with housing, and we're going back maybe in the denial. All right. We would love, all of us our assets, not just a house, our assets for our children. Many of us didn't go beyond 2. We may have 1 child, 2. Some may have 3 or 4, but very rare. So there's our generation. And we're concerned because we acquired assets, because we're very ambitious, and our thing is we have to leave it for these children. But now that the children reach the early 40s or late 30s, and we realize children or child,
they don't
we
see
realize,
like we do.
Listen to me. If it's 2, we say 1 might turn out that could hold their own, the other one, we don't know what happened. If it's 3, 2, but there's always 1. If we have 1, sometimes that's only 1. That we ain't too sure they can handle their finances properly. We're watching how they're working for a good salary because they are professionals, a lot of them, not professionals, but earning what we will call a fair enough wage, high enough to support them, and we're watching how they are bad spenders, the decisions they're making, all these things we're not happy with. So we really don't want to tie up our assets. We don't want to, and I came out of the financial sector, so I'm telling you, talking to clients, this is real, and our age group is real. We're really in denial. We don't want to put their name not going on any account.
No
not
joint account.
No way.
Yes, they might know how.
Don't care how the bankers or the financial advisors tell us, if you get ill, if you're this at this stage, put some benefit, you put a name, put a little joint and separate your account, then do a little separate account if you're so frightened to put them joint. No way, because why? We don't trust them. We swear they will, when they're in trouble, they're going to go and take out the money because it happens. So
you raise them, you know them.
Right? So we're not putting their name. So in emergency, we're in trouble, because they don't have money, they can't find the money, and nobody could touch your account if it's a sickness, etc. We have other situation, don't ask with our darling, the property we work very, very hard for, that we fix up, because we live in, you want to be comfortable, you take a little retirement money and you fix up. You change your car, you fix your car, you do everything with your assets. Yes, you're okay. But guess what? Putting their name on that house as joint, or even doing the will to say they live in, you're worried, boy. They can't take care of the house, they can't do extra. So we have this fear. And in talking to Terry and I said, there must be a way where you could put something in place to control, to make sure now we dead, gone. But we want to make sure they don't lose that, our asset, whatever asset that we work hard towards, whether it's this fixed deposit, whether it's the land, whether it's the car, whatever asset, we are so scared that when we close, and I know somebody used to say that, when you close your eyes, next thing you know, they sell out all your assets, but by the way, they will live happy until it finished, and I swear they will still live happy after it finished, right? So, but Terry-Ann, that is a reality. That is the truth. That comes under going back. Do we have the willpower, the belief, the whatever, to really make that decision in the exploration? And that really exploring that, listen, the name on the account, or separate your account and put the name on it, enough that they take out the barrier to do whatever. And the rest of it, listen to me, the rest of it's still going to them. We can't control it. Don't care how you tie it up, whether it's a trust, whether they only get in part every year, whatever. They're still getting it in the end, and they will do what they want to do with it.
The simple rule is we have to understand that once we go, we have no control. Because every organization, be it a bank, insurance, whatever it is, they have to deal with somebody, all right? And they can't deal with a dead person who leave instructions that this has to be done with the money, but somebody has to take the money to do this. So somebody has to be given the asset or given the money. And once that title goes, that person has no obligation except their love for you to listen to your advice. And if what you want to do is how you would have done it, which they have disagreed with all their life, they're just not going to do it. So we need to focus on, this is where we are in life. If you want to pass assets on to your children, and you know you're living in a big, big house that they can't afford and they can't maintain or whatever it is, you know, make arrangements to sell the house. Find a buyer who will buy it and get a legal agreement that on your passing, the lawyers could do that and it will go to that person and therefore not go to your child. Because if you say you give the person and you have to give this person peace, when they get the money, is theirs. You know,
they still getting the money. So you know what I've decided, Terry? It's unnecessary worry.
Yes, it is.
So any expiration, you decide, okay, this will make me a little comfortable doing X, Y, and Z. Because let's face it, none of us know about after death. Some people believe whatever, but I believe that I won't know nothing. So I'm not in no pain, no emotional thing to know whether I'm not seeing what they did. So you know what? If you want to focus, instead of focusing that they're blowing the money and thing, focus how they're having a good time and they're enjoying your wealth, what you left for them in their own way. And that they're happy that their parents left something.
My view is, I forgetting them. I living in my house. It is yours when it's dead. But you see, for now, I enjoying it.
If that's difficult, so we starting now in our exploration stage to change your mindset.
If when you get it, you can't manage it and you lose it in 2 years, what I gonna do? I do my best. I give it to you. But I think the thing we have to do is we cannot sit in silence, stewing and grating and grinding. We have to sit down and say to them, listen, this house, this car, this investment portfolio.
All the investments, everything.
The reason that it has built up to so much is because I have sacrificed, I have exercised self-control. And if you get it and you do not have self-control and you are going to blow it in 3 years and you're not going to live to 60 and 70 and 80 like me, you're going to become a pauper, it's up to you. And I think another thing that is very, very important, and this is something that I have started doing with my children. I have brought them into the circle with my financial advisors so that when I meet with my portfolio manager, they are there. So they understand the strategy, they understand the ups and the downs and the ins and the outs. So that at least when I close my eyes, now they may very well say, liquidate everything, give it to me. But at least they will not be doing it from a position of ignorance. And they have trust in that advisor and they know, look, if anything happens to me, I trust this person, they will guide you. So at least I give them a fighting chance to go on. But
I think, Tarian, by doing that, by taking the advice and informing them, because we are Secret Service and we don't want them to know our business, by informing them whether we have or we don't have, they need to know. They need to know.
But it's going to be
and
theirs.
let it,
it's going to be theirs.
And let them know, as you said, this is it. And they know we work hard to explain all that. Because the downside of that is when we close our eyes, that same fear we had, that they're doing that and that, they can't do it because they didn't know. Exactly. We didn't tell them. Sometimes in situations, they don't even know which bank we belong to. They don't know if we have insurance. They don't know anything about our financial situation. And at the end of the day, they have to find money to pay legal fees, to find out a whole set of things, and to wait how many years for the court to decide before they get that same money. You're holding back. And in many cases, they could be at a great disadvantage when they could have gotten that assets from early to do something about it. So we really have to reconsider, Terry, and how we think and how we want to, as you say, control from the grave. That's not working. We have to trust and believe after we talk to them that they will do the best that they can.
I think there's another area that we stay in denial of, and we don't come out of resistance, and it is something critical. And a lot of us burden our children with a very negative legacy of emotional baggage, where we do not say the truth. True. We do not say the truth about why our relationships are as they are. It could be a spousal relationship that's not perfect. It could be a relationship with siblings that's not perfect. We know that we have, for the whole of our lives, given a one-sided story about everything. And we go to our graves with shame that we've been so dishonest. And we leave children, siblings, friends with very bad perceptions of people who could step in to assist and help. And we cause untold suffering. We cause all kinds of nonsense. So you see, this a big part of letting go. I'm going to use the word now, letting go. And really having a joyful life on this 5.8G stage as we go into the first of the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, and then if we're going on to the 80s. We have to be so honest with ourselves, because honestly, I think that is really the secret of being joyful, of being relaxed. Totally happy. You see all the little secret and the grand, the grudge we hold in and the battle. Just dump it. It's taken up too much emotional bandwidth. It's taken up too much time, too much energy. It's causing stress, and it's taken away your joy. So we think you should just jump on the transition pathways and done the denial, done the resistance, explore, get options, explore, go see the options, and settle down nicely and enjoy.
And let me, because I went to the funeral yesterday and I listened and I looked at situations as a family member. What you said there, Terry, and I just want to repeat. You see this baggage we have with some of us, we giving a negative impression of whether it's a family member, even a sibling and things, turning our children head against the person or whatever.
Against spouses. We do
and it spouses, especially for some of us who separated and all that. When that time comes, listen to me, you can sit in a funeral situation and watch the dynamics, the family dynamics play before you. And when you listen to some of the comments, you say, wow, boy. So that negative legacy you're talking about, we should really look at that.
Generational lies and bad perspectives cause all kinds of stuff. So we're
settling in on a very happy stage, having gone through all these things. You know, you spoke about letting go, and I have this thing. Letting go is one of the key to happiness as we aging.
Definitely.
You know?
I think on that note, we hope you have a real joyful life. So people, next week is the River Line. We almost sell out. You just have a handful of seats. So Gael, people, by the time you see this next week, Monday, you mightn't have any more seats. But
we sold out.
We really want to thank you all for your support, your continuing support to us. Thank you so much. We really go out of our way to make sure we create events that are worthy of us on the third act stage. I mean, because the food ready, the maxi is ready, the facility is beautiful. I mean, all the facilities are there, the washrooms, the bathrooms, there are even cabanas, and there are lots of activities we could do there.
Everything. So we have Friday's entertainment ready with all the games, the different board games, the different activities, field activities, anything you want to do, we are ready.
And that river is there. So we will see you all soon. And remember, Maxie is coming up from South. Okay. So
Great.
See you all.
Bye for now. We see you all. Yes. Hi, 5.8G tribe. It's time for Matura Riverline, and that's on Friday, the 21st of June. You know how we roll because we are having this is a fun time for you to come out by the river and relax. I know some of you all may not have been by the river for a long time. And there at Trinity Riverline, it is such a beautiful, beautiful place. Lots of room. And guess what? Entertainment galore. And we have engaged what you call Friday's entertainment. They are really professionals and they're going to be organizing all the games for us. So we're doing fun games outside, indoor games, board games, all different type of games. You can always walk around that beautiful area, walk by the river if you don't even want to go in and bathe. But of course, you will want to because the water is really nice. And I would leave Terry Ann to tell you about all food.
It is cooking on the spot, hot on the spot. Our caterers will be setting up kitchen and we boiling, we bubbling, we doing all the things that we need to do. And I want to fully endorse Matura. That river is so accessible. It's family friendly.
Clean.
It's safe, clean water. And we're just going to have our own fun time Friday the 21st. And of course, it's a Maxi Lime. Plenty vibes, plenty fun.
Breakfast will be served also. So we're going to be meeting at Maxi at our usual place. We're going to meet at Grand Bazaar for 7:30. Yeah, so come on, chill out. Come and have some fun. How much? Only $350. And you have to book earlier. The information is there. Give us a call. Book your tickets. We're going to just send you the information for payment. You know how it is done. So this is it. Friday, the 21st of June, 5.8G Matura Riverline.
See you then.
And please walk with your cooler with your favorite drinks, and we will provide the ice.
50+ tribe and followers from Trinidad and Tobago and the Caribbean.
Thank you for joining us on this Connections 50+ 5.8G Alive show.
We hope you enjoyed the lively conversation and look forward to seeing you next week.
Don't forget to like our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
We really love getting your feedback. Bye for now.